Hello, so I'm just going to go over some of the plants that you mentioned. So alliums came up there. One I want to mention is the Allium ambassador, which has quite a large flower head. They are a little bit more expensive. I think the flower heads are about 15 to 20 centimeters across. And these are great though, they really stand out, so you don't need so many. Another one I really like is the Summer Drummer, and I have a few of these myself. These were expensive, I think about £5 a bulb, but I managed to get them a lot cheaper from the J. Parker's magazine and website that I gave you. Make sure you use the wholesaler. And these Summer Drummers are quite tall, almost as tall as me. You could plant them in groups of fives and spread them around the garden. Purple Sensation is another one. A lot smaller, but still really beautiful, and a lot cheaper as well. So I think you could get away with having anywhere between 50 and 100 of these in your garden. Again, planting them in groups of fives. Ami Magus, really nice little flower, and I'm just going to show you them on the RHS website, which I recommend you check with whenever you want to buy any plants, because it gives you all this information here: the size, growing conditions, the flowering time, where it says colour and scent, whether they can grow in a full sun position or shade or partial shade, their hardiness, if they can grow in acid, alkaline or neutral soil, chalky soil, loamy soil, landy soil. Yeah, it's really a useful reference to use. Again, I think you could have quite a few of these in the garden, maybe about 5 to 10, either planted, not necessarily together, but not too far apart either, just to give them some purpose. You mentioned about box alternatives. So this is a garden I used to work in Wisley, the RHS garden, and because box these days suffer from blight and caterpillar, they have all these alternatives to box. So if you go on the RHS website as well, you can see it gives you the list of plants that they have in there. So Kuroki is my favourite. You've got Toniaster, Euonymus, Ilex, Ligustrum, Lonicera, many more. It also gives you some places where you can buy them from, the sources. And that's one of my favourites, the Taxus picata repens. It's a type of creeping yew. Monkshood, or Aconitum. Very nice tall architectural plant. I think you could have 3, 5, 10 of those, not necessarily planted together. You can plant them separate. They do stand out quite tall and architectural. Really nice flowers, though you do have to mind that you can't eat the roots. They are quite toxic. You can also get them in white. I think you mentioned you like the white ones. Really nice. Lysimachia autopurpurea. You can, if you can find this cultivar, go for it. But if not, as long as you get the colour that you like, again, you can plant these. I would say quite close together, not necessarily right together, but maybe like a meter apart, just so there's it looks as though they're planted, with a purpose, and they do stand out a bit more. So the individuals may feel a bit lost. Aquilegia comes in many different colours. Great self-seeder. You don't need to buy too many of these before they self-seed, and then you've got more than you actually want. Foxglove digitalis really stands out. Very tall and narrow. No need to plant them together, but you could have quite a few. Also, really good self-seeders. Don't need to buy too many before they self-seed, so it's a good investment. You could have anywhere between 5 to 10 of these spread out around the garden. You also mentioned about a garden room in the book that had quite tall enclosed walls, not literally walls, but the plants themselves. Lots of green foliage that gives a tranquil feel. So I did want to suggest this Tuscan totem pole, the Cupressus sempervirens. It doesn't take up too much space, and you can have as many of these as you like. You could have one, you could have 3, 5. Pinus wallichiana, more of a feathery texture to the pine needles, quite soft, slight tinge of blue. You only really need one of these, I think, and when it gets to the height that you want to keep it at, you can just prune it continually from there so it doesn't get too big. One of my favourite types of cypress is the Monterey cypress, specifically the cultivar Wilma, because it doesn't grow too tall, so you don't need to keep trimming it. You don't need to trim it at all, actually, and it's a lime green, so it breaks up the monotony of the dark green colours, and it gives you that evergreen foliage, so year round, right through the dark winters, you still have something that's bright. Junipers, these come in a variety of colours. I like the ones with a blue tinge. Again, it breaks up the dark green colour, and they are quite an upright, narrow form, some of them, so these are great. Weeping cedar, again, blue, very architectural form, unusual form and structure with the weeping pendulous branches. Only need one of these, really. The Nucatensis cypress, really nice texture. Usually they don't grow out too wide, they're quite narrow, so they don't take up too much space. I love these. Yuccas, more exotic kind of foliage, because the ones in the book were unfortunately quite tender, most of them, but you can have some similar ones that are hardy, so the yuccas are great for the exotic foliage and the amazing flowers. You could have maybe about 3 of these. The fan palms, Trachycarpus fortunei, you only really need one. Although if you really like them, you could get more. Yeah, really nice exotic form. And then Tetrapanax, really exotic shaped leaves. There are some I've seen in Chesterfield that are hardy, but I'm not sure if you're a bit higher up, but you could always give one a try. Asters, late flowering from August to October, sometimes even November with the milder winters. Lots of flowers on them. And then Symphyotrichum, which are pretty much the same as asters. They have recently been recategorized because of a slight genetic difference, apparently. It's a bit confusing. And the same with sedum, really great late flowers, succulents, and then they've also been recategorized to Hylotelephium, although I wouldn't worry too much about that, it's a bit confusing. Grasses were on there, Malinia, Panicum, I would plant these separately. My favourite, Calamagrostis. These are a bit narrower, so you can plant these not too far away from each other, but the seed heads are lovely and they last through the winter. They're gold and nice in the breeze. Very soft. Miscanthus, bigger than the Calamagrostis, so you don't need too many of these. I would say about 3, and spread out. These don't need to be planted close together. Great seed heads. Again, a very soft and floaty feel. Teasel, great architectural plant. You don't need too many of these. About 3 or 5 spread out. Stipa tenuissima, Stipa giganteum. The giganteums are giant, so you don't need many of those at all. I say 1 to 3. Echinacea. These can get quite lost, so I would plant these together, maybe about 5. You mentioned you like the brown centre of the flower. Salvia nemorosa. They really stand out when planted together. I wouldn't plant them individually, but at least not too far apart either. Angelica. You can get these in purple or a lighter colour. They are annuals and they are tall architectural. You wouldn't need too many, only about 3 spread out, and I think they self seed. Veronicastrum, another great architectural plant. These can be planted separately, and you don't need too many. I would say anywhere between 3 and 5 spread out around the garden. Verbena hastata. planted separately, about 5, I would say. They're tall, architectural, narrow. Muhlenbergia, another grass, really soft. You'd have about 5 of these, I would say, planted separately. Verbascum Chaaksii, really nice architectural plant. You could get quite a few of these spread out, maybe about 5, anywhere between 5 and 10. There's also Verbascum olympicum, a larger flower head, or Verbascum bombiciferum. Achillea in the carrot family, really nice flower head. I prefer the yellow ones. Achillea moonshine, or yarrow as it's known. Salvia superba. Penstemon in a variety of colours. I know you said you like the pink ones. Cosmos. I grew some of these myself. Although they are annuals, you could go from seed or you could buy about 5 of them and plant them separately. Acanthus mollis, nice architectural plant. You only need about 3 of these, I would think, not too many. Or you could even get away with 1. Astrantia major, come in a variety of colours. You would need to plant these either all together or quite close to each other because they are small. They have a very long flowering time. As long as you deadhead them right down to the ground, they come back right up until October. Phlox maculata is really stand out, slightly architectural, variety of colours. You can also get the subulata, lower growing, or the paniculata. Hemerocalis, almost like a lily. These look great. You can see them en masse there. They really stand out. You don't need to plant quite so many. But yeah, it's up to you. You can either plant them separate or together.